Okay, hello everybody. This is Nephew SIG Automation for March 15th. Okay, so let me show the agenda, which is I didn't honestly have a chance to fill it out, so there's not much there.
I think, John, we lost you. Is it possible? They are mute.
Yeah, sorry. How about now? Yeah. Okay. So what I was saying is that so we started up the 3 sub-projects. For those of you who may or may not be aware, we talked about these in previous meetings. And Wim has already started up already had 2 meetings for his sub-project, so that's fantastic. That's going well. And I have a meeting tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. for the package management sub-project. So a few logistics around this. One is everybody who signed up as of Friday for one of these through the form that I had sent out, I sent you, and if you gave me a valid GitHub user ID, I sent you an invitation to the org, and I sent you, and I added you to the teams you expressed interest in. That's both these, and at SIG Release, there's just 1 team because it's fairly small, even though there's 2 sub-projects. And I also added everybody to the different Slack channels. So obviously, none of those things are fixed in stone as people, excuse me, as people join the project or change their minds, we can move people around. GitHub teams, you'll have to let me know right now. I don't know how to give other people access, but somehow there's a way to give other people access to manage those teams. I'll have to figure that out. So, but logistically, the reason we need these GitHub teams is, one, it's used for like notification. So when an issue is related to a particular team, people can use that, tag that in their GitHub issue and tag the team. It'll notify everybody on the team. But more importantly, you have to be in the org in order to be assigned issues. And we can grant permissions to the project boards based on team. So what this means is that, I mean, probably we'll just give I don't know exactly what we'll do permissions wise. We're still pretty small, but and I'm sure nobody's going to cause trouble, but at some point it grows beyond that. So in any case, the plan for me will be to start the sub-project meetings tomorrow for package management. We have to start a triage process to start managing the issues on the board. And now, if you've joined that org, we can assign you issues and you know, kind of get the ball rolling there. Are there any other logistics, Wim, that we need to cover?
No, the only thing that I saw is that I saw today actually quite a number of additional people or more responses to the poll. I don't know whether you paid attention, but
so
there
yeah,
has been
shared it
there has been,
and so yeah, so probably a bunch of people, but I don't know if they're. I'll have to go through. We'll have to go through and add those people, I guess. But
yeah, I did it for my sub-project. I went through it before the meeting, so so most of them did it themselves, at least to the Slack channel. But yeah, so I just see that people still have I have volunteered for certain things, so that's why I wanted to raise it. Yeah. By the way, John, the recordings that we are doing for these sessions, we put them in one SIG Automation, I'm assuming, right? So it's all in one big channel, so all the subgroups will be there, and it will be one big YouTube.
Yeah, I'm not going to create separate lists, but I haven't uploaded the ones from yesterday or today yet. It's a manual, unfortunately, a manual process right now. We try to automate the tool, but it's not working. So we'll see about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the other question that comes up is how do we best take advantage of this larger meeting where all the sub teams are together, and what are the topics that are appropriate for everybody's perusal. So we have a lot of meetings now scheduled, and I personally prefer to I'm somebody who is always happy to end a meeting early if we don't have enough topics, but and if we're covering everything in our sub-project team meetings and there's not things we need to discuss as a larger group, I'm fine with that too. So, but any thoughts or comments around specific, like I don't have any specific agenda items for today, but I know there's lots of things people may be curious about or want to discuss, and I'm happy to participate in that. Jean-Marie?
So first, where can we have a view of all the meetings, when they are, and what are the Zoom calls, etc., on the respective projects?
So, okay, good question. And we should put it in the agenda, but there's a groups.io calendar. So in lists.nefio.org, which is what we're using for our group management, each SIG has a calendar. So there's a SIG automation calendar. All of the meetings, I'll put it in the chat right now, but we should put it into or I can put it into the agenda right now. Where is there it is. So for SIG automation, put it in the agenda. That calendar should reflect everything. I don't know that it does right now. We need to make sure that everybody has permissions to add events to that needs to add events to that. I don't, we may need to be.
Yeah, it seems that I have an issue there. It seems, John. I don't know whether it's my permission, but I was trying to do it yesterday for the meeting today, and I added a topic, but I could not assign. I basically added calendar, but maybe we can do it offline. But I was not able to put it. The item is there, but I could not associate it with the calendar itself. But maybe it's me. I don't know what the issue is, but
Lucy may have to give permissions to you. We may have to ask her to.
I'll reach out to her.
Yeah,
so I have two that I will add those in the calendar, but that's our source of truth somehow.
Yeah, for now you can just ask me and I'll do it. But what we should do is get Lucy to give permissions to the leads on the different sub projects, so they can modify the calendar themselves. But if you send me the info, I can put it there. So that what I do, and I think here, let me stop this.
I have them here, John. If you want, I can share. You want me to share? Okay, yeah, I got it. I think you're back on mute, John.
Why is that the default? Okay. Yeah, so this is where they'll all appear. And you can subscribe to that calendar, just so you know. If you're using Google Calendar, they only refresh once every 24 hours, which is kind of sucks.
Yeah, I think that they use a similar system in ONAP, and I think there's a button at the bottom which you can use to add an event. Just if you scroll down, John. So
so there is, if you have the proper permission.
Yeah, if you have permission. But for me now, it's grayed out. So I guess if you'll know by looking there whether you have permission or not.
I don't have permission either, so that's my problem. Yeah.
Yeah, so probably Lucy has to do that. At some point I asked for permissions to modify these things. I don't, so like I have this admin for the group, but yeah, I don't think I can, maybe I can.
No, it's okay. I will ask Lucy. No problem, John. I'll ask.
But the thing is, each SIG has their own. Signet Arch has its own calendar. There's not one Nefio calendar, unfortunately. That would be nice, but I don't know if this tool can do that. I mean, we could put it up anyway. Let's not make it any more complicated. It's already so each SIG has their own calendar, and each sub-project will schedule meetings on their own. So that's all I have there.
Maybe we should, what we can do is, I think at the moment, okay, the calendars are not up to date, but in my subgroup, we kind of voted for Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 a.m. PST. So we are going a bit far, or many meetings to start with. The idea is to slow down, but to go a bit more quickly in the beginning, because we do a lot of, at the moment, it's really education or basically sharing knowledge. And I think Tal is scheduled to do 8 a.m. PST on Tuesday, I think, and John, you 9 a.m. PST on Thursday, right? So that's kind of a little bit the current idea. Of course, the Monday meeting will be every other week, because there is SIG 1 also scheduled every other week. So the Monday slot for me will be every other week.
Yeah, and SIG release is moving to every week at 10 a.m. Just FYI, that's what Stephen said yesterday.
I SIG 1 only at 9. Okay, it's at 9. Yeah.
Or 9
okay,
a.m. I don't know.
Yeah,
The I might have messed it up. I don't know.
No, sure. No, I think you're right. I was wrong.
No, I don't know. So anyway, I don't want to keep everybody here if we don't really actually have things to discuss. We have, like I said, a lot of meetings going on, but I'm, so maybe I just open the door to anybody else's questions. Like I said, I don't have specific agenda items beyond those logistics of the subgroups, which is, I think, where most of the execution is going to happen.
John, can you summarize, because I've been under the weather, so I couldn't attend a lot of these meetings. Can you at least summarize what has happened in the sub projects so far?
Well, so we're just getting started with the sub projects. So we have the 3 sub projects for this SIG, and there's 2 for SIG release. For this SIG, the first, the package specialization sub project has had 2 meetings, kind of working on discussing the scope and level setting. Starting to go through the scope of the SIG. The package management subproject will meet tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Tal, whose hand is up and maybe can comment on this momentarily, I don't think it's scheduled a specific time yet, other than maybe Tuesday at 8 a.m. next week. So we're just getting the ball rolling on those. But logistically, the idea is that everybody's been added to GitHub Teams. Everybody's been added to Slack channels. If you haven't been, then you need to let me know. You can just join the Slack channel, but for the GitHub Teams, you have to let me know. That will allow us to assign issues to you when you're in the org, and allow us to start managing issues assigned to each team. Tal, you have a comment? Or does that answer your question, Ravi, I guess, first?
Yeah. I mean, I'm part of the Slack channel and all. Just that I've been, because I've not been kind of actively looking at the messages because of my condition. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm part of the, I think my GitHub ID, when I had signed up for the sub projects, I had even shared there. So I think I'm part of that system.
Yeah, you might have to accept an invitation if you haven't already done so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Ravi, maybe quick. Sorry to jump the line out, but just to so what we did in the 2 or the 2 meetings so far was basically education. So first of all, they are recorded. So they will, from the moment we upload, you will actually see the content. But what we went basically through the code that we did for the summit in order to get people a bit of an understanding of what we are talking about and so on and so forth. And we did, yesterday we focused on a controller, and today we focused on functions, so kept functions and how, or an example or two examples of how they were written and how to use them. So that's what we did. Ravi? Sorry.
Sure. I look at the recordings. It's good. I was hoping the recordings are there for viewing, so I'll surely browse through that. Thank you.
So Tal had lowered his hand. Is that because you didn't have anything to say?
Oh, no, I just didn't want to annoy with my hand up. But yeah, just to summarize for the SIG number 3, sub-project 3 workshop. So yeah, I think I will take the old slot that we had for that extra automation meeting. I didn't hear any resistance. We can just start with that. I wonder, John, or Wim, could you create the Zoom meeting for me? I've never.
Yeah, just afterwards. Yeah, I can do that. Just
Okay, well, we can sync afterwards. So just make sure everybody knows. But on that note, we will start maybe the week after next. I'm going to be on vacation next week. I mean, the SIG could still meet. Sorry, not the SIG. The sub-project could still meet, but I won't be there. That's okay as well. Maybe instead, I'm doing this workshop tomorrow. I sent an email. I hope people saw. It will be right after the TSC meeting. So about 2 hours, maybe less if we can move quickly. And people ask, go ahead.
They moved the TSC meeting?
Yeah, well, they didn't move it, actually. Technically, depending on how you look at it, they didn't move it. They kept it in the same place because the TSC, all our meetings were originally on Pacific time zone, and Pacific time zone is now in daylight saving times, but the Linux tooling was based on UTC. So Lucy updated the TSC meeting to correctly reflect the Pacific time zone right now. So technically it didn't move.
Oh, okay. So it didn't affect your schedule.
No, it did not affect it. So right after the TSC meeting. So to summarize, let me look at the calendar just to make sure I'm not saying something wrong. So 10 a.m. will be the TSC meeting tomorrow. And then 11 a.m. afterward, we'll have the workshop. So the workshop, I know some people have contacted me, they can't make it, they're on vacation. We can do it again sometime in a more Euro-friendly time zone. So maybe in about 2 weeks, if there's interest, but it will also be recorded.
Right, Tal?
Yeah, we'll record it, but I think part of the fun is to do it hands-on. So
sure.
If you can follow along with the recording as well, I guess. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So maybe that could work instead of the sub-project work group meeting for this week. But we'll continue with those in 2 weeks. So I'll sync with you afterwards to actually create the meeting and send out an email invitation.
Okay.
That's it. Thanks.
Sounds good. And you had your hand up, but it seems gone now.
The recordings for the subgroups, where will they be uploaded to? The YouTube
Same
channel?
place. Yeah, same YouTube channel.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So there was one other thing that I think Wim suggested we might be of interest to folks, and that's around documentation process. So one of the or sort of the development and design process. One thing we did with like the creation of the subgroups, and one thing I expect to be, and I think we've talked about this before, but just to make it explicitly clear, like our process should be like the designs are discussed and whatever, primarily the rough draft is written usually in docs. And then and maybe over Slack, and then the final design is captured in GitHub, which has like approval processes associated with it. So that makes it so that it can be clear agreement as opposed to a doc, which is hard to see that there's clear agreement. Is there anything else you wanted to say on that, Wim? Or
No, yeah, because I think I had some questions from different people because we have there's lots of documents in our Google Drive, right? So there is documents, proposals and stuff like that. At the end of the day, I think these are all inputs to come to the real work, but the real source of truth will eventually be the Git repositories, where besides the code, we also have documentation on how they operate and how they function.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. That's kind of the message, because I got a few questions from some people which documents are real and stuff like that. At this moment in time, there's a few, right? And that will evolve. But eventually, once we have release 1 out of the door, those Git repos will contain. And I think there is one. I think you created one with docs. I think John, right? So that's going to be the overarching one, right?
Yeah, so there's a docs repo that's for more user-facing type of things. Yes.
Yes.
But user-facing broadly, end users, but as well as like vendors, for example, who want to integrate with Nefio, we should have documentation for them there. It's just not for people in the project. Like, I don't want it to be for our internal developer documentation, but sort of the outward-facing documentation. Yeah, that's what the docs repo is for, and then the other things would go in the standard repo. So that's something we need to discuss with SIG release. Is we really need to get get our repos set up, get our PROW processes set up, get our review processes set up. That's not like all really there yet, but hopefully now as the sub projects get started up, we'll get an idea of exactly what repos we need, and we'll be able to get SIG release to help us with that. So yeah, any other questions, or we can give everybody back 35 minutes. The sub-project meetings is where I expect most work to happen. This will be a bigger meeting for coordination between the sub-projects and topics that everybody in the SIG needs to be aware of. So I'm happy to entertain any additional questions now from people. Otherwise, we can wrap it up. Okay, awesome. Then please come tomorrow, those who are interested in package management, to 9 a.m. Definitely Tal's workshop tomorrow should be really, really interesting too. So thanks all, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Rock and roll.